What's up, everybody? Welcome to SLC Puck. Sorry, my microphone was running away from me there. Hey, welcome to SLC Puck, Utah's favorite hockey podcast. I'm your host, Austin Facer. It's Sunday, May 4th. May the 4th be with you. I know there's a lot of you who probably think I'm like a Star Wars nerd. I'm actually not. I'm not even a Marvel nerd, but I'm choosing to wear a Captain America shirt. I do like a lot of the Disney franchises, but those two just never really struck my fancy for whatever reason, just to be honest. But I could be celebratory today. I can pretend, right? That's what fake it till you make it, right? That's the name of the game. But welcome to SLC Puck. Like I said, May 4th, 2025, one day away from Cinco de Mayo, so get your cervezas ready for that. I'd recommend a Bud Light. I think that stuff is very, very delicious. But lots have been happening. Again, it's been like 3 weeks since the Utah Hockey Club has played a game. And again, I was concerned heading into our first real off-season doing the podcast that we would quickly run out of stuff to talk about. Not the case yet. I mean, Stanley Cup Playoffs have been terrific. The first round is wrapping up. We'll take a look at the SLC Puck Bracket Challenge standings in just a second. But as teams are eliminated, as the shuffleboard gets kind of set for next season, rumors are flying as well. And flying is an apt term for this episode. We're going to title this episode "Fly in the Coop" because we're going to talk about Mr. Jon Cooper and his possible future with the Utah Hockey Club. But hey, if you like the show, if you're new to the show, welcome to the show. This is twice weekly podcast about all things Utah hockey, Utah Hockey Club, all kinds of stick and puck stuff around the great state of Utah. If you want to support the show, I always recommend doing so by going to slcpuck.shop. I've heard people say, hey, Austin, I like a lot of the stuff. Just make it a little bit different and maybe be more interested in that. And I say, I hear you. I hear you. So we got some designs right now. We got the hat is cool. The Crownburger hat, Crownburger shirt is great as well. I'm going to get some new designs up there for you guys pretty soon. But let's get back to the topic at hand here. First subject of matter. I know you guys are really excited about the SLC Puck playoff challenge, the Stanley Cup Bracket Challenge. Let's check in on that. My bracket got busted last night in heart-wrenching, horrific fashion. Thoughts and prayers go out to our good friend Eric Jensen, who's been a guest on the show. He's a local hockey enthusiast, the hardest working man in basement podcasting. I'm happy to take second place on that title, but Eric Jensen is also a diehard Colorado Avalanche fan, and his boys were eliminated in very dramatic, shocking fashion last night. The Dallas Stars scored 4 goals in the third period to overcome a 2-goal Colorado lead to win the series in Game 7 down in the Lone Star State. So that was pretty amazing to watch in real time. And it did some damage to my bracket, that's for sure. I picked the Avalanche to win the Stanley Cup. And I was at the tippy top of this bracket for a little bit, just as the first few rounds were getting settled. And I've been knocked all the way down to 27th. So, yeah, I really took a beating. Big props to Go Knights Goo, JT Ford, Wrecker. Quite a few guys still have some really strong brackets here. Go Knights Goo. I'm assuming they meant to put Go a second time, but they did Goo. So Go Knights Goo. If you're out there, you know, I think Go Knights Goo is kind of funny. It's what a baby would say if they were cheering for the Golden Knights. Goo 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 goo. Right. So you know what I'm thinking we're gonna do? I noticed here that they do a second chance bracket challenge conclusion of the first round. So I'll include that in the newsletter tomorrow. Again, I do the newsletter Mondays in the off season, so you can go to slcpuck.com to subscribe to that. But you know, one of the consequences of the Stanley Cup playoff, as it's unfolded, the Tampa Bay Lightning played a very tough series against the Florida Panthers. Florida Panthers look very, very good, by the way. They won that series 4-1. So I guess it wasn't that tough of a series. The Panthers kind of rolled them. They won 6-3 in the deciding Game 5. They'll roll on to take on the Maple Leafs, who I also predicted were going to lose in the first round. Maybe I was being a little too cute there. They beat the Senators 4-2. Washington moved on after beating the Canadiens. I called that one, so good for me there. The Hurricanes dispatched the Devils, so they'll be playing the Capitals in the second round. And we'll just go around the horn here. In the Western Conference, Golden Knights moving on to play the Oilers. The Stars will play the winner of Jets Blues tonight. Ooh, that's going to be a scary one. If you're a Jets fan, you're a little nervous right now, aren't you? You're feeling a little like little sick to your stomach. I'm sure Connor Hellebuck is in his head quite a bit. I had a hilarious joke on X the other day. Winnipeg, more like lose a peg. Thank you. Okay, studio audience piped in there. The Peanut Gallery supporting that. Thank you so much. But yeah, I think the thing that kind of had a consequence on Utah's presence in the news cycle this week, obviously not obviously, you might have missed it, but the Tampa Bay Lightning were eliminated. And if you've been a fan of the NHL for a while, the man behind the bench has been a key pillar of their success, Jon Cooper. And rumor has started to swirl. And if there's one thing we've learned from doing the show for over 100 frickin' episodes, for over a year, for ripping our shirts off several times, for watching the news unfold in real time, is that rumor can turn to reality pretty quickly. And the rumor that I'm referring to, of course, is that this Jon Cooper fellow may be next in line. His next stop, should he leave Tampa Bay, be coach behind the bench of the Utah Hockey Club. And I got to tell you, I think that this makes a lot of sense for several reasons when you consider the importance of relationships. And this is a relationship show. We talk a lot about relationships with hockey, with movies, with each other. Obviously, those are very important in the sports world. But also, we can. I think I have always theorized that there are a lot of the Utah Hockey Club's success in the next few years will be due to a careful calculation of plans coming together, right? So I'm thinking about like the Delta Center is going to be done 2027. The team's going to really be coming into their own at that time. I think 2030 would be a really great year for them to make a strong Stanley Cup run. And then 2034, obviously the Olympics are going to be in Salt Lake City, right? So that we can see these things coming down the pipe a little bit. And I think that's kind of the sentiment that's being felt when it comes to Jon Cooper's next stop being Utah. So again, this rumor swirled all over. It was on like basically every hockey podcast in the zeitgeist over the last week. Daily Faceoff talked about it quite a bit. Salt Lake Tribune did an article on it. Bill Fraser did a really nice write-up on that. Basically, everybody's been talking about it, so there's got to be a little something to it, right? We can see here, and I'll just flip over here to ESPN. The headline is Jon Cooper to return as Lightning head coach next season, right? So the rumor's been swirling. Tampa Bay Lightning coach Jon Cooper will return for the 2025-2026 season, said general manager Julien Brisebois, I'm guessing is how you say that. Cooper will be back next year, adding that he hopes the coach's tenure will extend beyond that. Cooper, 57, is the longest tenured coach in the NHL, having been hired by the Lightning in March 2013. He led Tampa Bay to back-to-back Stanley Cup championships in 2020 and 2021, as well as 4 Eastern Conference championships in 2015, 2020, 2021, and 2022. His teams have had a 0.6. See, I'm a little dyslexic, so this is kind of hard. 6.38 points percentage during that span. Third best among active coaches with a minimum of 500 games beyond the bench. But the Lightning haven't advanced past the first round of the Eastern Conference playoffs in 3 straight seasons. So it looks like the success is starting to dwindle there. And you think maybe this guy might be looking for a new home. Well, where could that be? Where could I go? Who would want me? Well, I tell you who probably would. Your golfing buddy, Ryan Smith. And this was sort of the driving factor behind the circulation of this rumor. Your golfing buddies are everything, right? I went to the driving range at Lakeside this week. My swing needs a lot of work. If anybody out there would like to take me under their wing and help me get my game back on track, that'd be really appreciated. But so much happens on the golf course. Peace treaties have been written. Business deals are done. I think great ideas happen. A lot of goofing off. It's fun. You go golfing with people you enjoy spending considerable amounts of time with. And from what seems to be a very well-known, unkept secret, I guess, is that Ryan Smith and Jon Cooper like to play golf together. And I wish I could have found the story ahead of the show, but I was reading a story from earlier this season when Tampa Bay made their trip to Utah. The players and coaches from the Lightning organization absolutely gushed about their time in Utah, including Mr. Jon Cooper, who talked so much about how he enjoyed being in the outdoors. He took a stroll in Park City. A lot of the guys who play for the Utah Hockey Club live in Park City as it is, and just how much he was quite impressed with the scene. It seems like a natural progression for Utah that this might be their next head coach. And I say this with absolutely no disrespect intended for Andre Tourigny. I think that there's kind of this notion in Utah sports where we're really attached to our head coaches of our teams. And I mean, it makes sense. It's just kind of like what we've grown up with in our lifetimes, right? Like Jerry Sloan was the head coach of the Utah Jazz for like 22 years, a very short Ty Corbin tenure, followed that. Very short, very bad Ty Corbin era. We got through those dark times. And then Quinn Snyder was the coach for probably 7 or 8 years, right? That's not nothing in modern sports. Kyle Whittingham has been the head coach of the University of Utah for 20 years. Kalani Sitake has been the head coach at BYU for probably about 10. It's just kind of what we're used to. So I think it's a little bit disorienting to us to see what is actually happening in the NHL right now, where teams are turning over their coaches in a big way. I think there's like 8 open head coaching jobs in the NHL right now. And some of the really, really blue blood teams are changing their coaches. The Rangers changed their coach this year. The Penguins are going to be looking for a new coach. The Flyers have an opening as well. Not a blue blood, but the Anaheim Ducks are going to be looking for a head coach as well. In the NHL, teams turn over their coaches quite a bit more than what the average Utah sports fan could fathom. And I just think that's kind of what is going to happen here in the future. Again, not a slight to Tourigny. I think he's been an excellent coach. I think he's helped this team progress and develop. But if this team is moving along this timeline that we think they can, right, where we think they can really start to be an elite team, 2027, win a Stanley Cup by 2030, they're going to need someone to take the reins at a certain point and push them to the next level. Just like the same way, players have their own trajectory, right? They take steps along the way. I think Andre Tourigny, his head coaching gig with the Arizona Coyotes was his first step, his first foray into head coaching in the NHL. He'll win Stanley Cups as a head coach. I don't have any doubt about that. I just don't think it's going to be with the Utah Hockey Club unless he can pull one off next season, which, hey, who knows, right? I'm not predicting that, but I guess it could happen. But I think the timing just makes a lot of sense here for what the Utah Hockey Club wants to accomplish, namely what Ryan Smith wants to accomplish with his team. I mean, just see here, Andre Tourigny, who's the head coach of the Utah Hockey Club, signed a 3-year extension, which will take him through the 2027 season. So think about it this way: if we know Cooper is going to be in Tampa Bay through next season, 2026, and Tourney's through 2027, you just buy out Tourigny for 1 year of that deal, and or maybe Cooper takes a year to decompress. Maybe he does TV. Maybe he goes and just does house shopping in Utah for a full year, right? That's not outside the realm of possibilities. The housing market's crazy here. You want to get a good spot. You want to go to Park City. You want to make sure you get in a spot that's, has good access to all the ski resorts you want to get to, can get you, to the trails that you want to go to, the golf courses, get all your memberships at the country clubs lined up, ready to go. I think that would be a good year for Jon Cooper to spend that year. and perhaps maybe consult with the club for a little bit, or the Mammoth, whatever the hell they're going to be called next season. But I do think there's something to the fact that this rumor circulated so widely and was almost accepted as like an inevitability from what I could tell from guys like Frank Saravalli, who, by the way, predict if as you may recall, started really heating up the rumor that the Utah Hockey Club would be moving to Utah. The Coyotes would be moving here. So if Saravalli is willing to talk about it, and if I'm saying your name wrong, Frank, I'm sorry. I think there's a good chance that there's a lot of steam behind this locomotive. So we'll see how that plays out. But what's happening much sooner before all that, the NHL Draft Lottery, and being that the Utah Hockey Club did not make the postseason this year, they're in the lottery. They're in the running for one of the primetime spots in the NHL draft. I should note before you guys get too excited. I know. Listen, the lottery's big, right? It's going to be a big month for lotteries for Utah sports fans, right? And with the NHL lottery, and then, well, you guys might have to remind me: is the NBA lottery after the season, after the NBA finals, right? So that'll be big. I mean, the Utah Jazz are really going to need a very good draft pick in the NBA lottery to get Cooper Flag. They're going to have to get the number 1 overall pick. So that's going to be the most watched event in the state that night when it happens. I could look up when that is, but I just don't. I'm sure as the date approaches, that it'll be all a buzz all over town. But tomorrow is the NHL Draft Lottery, and I know we have the number 1 pick in our sights for the Jazz. For the Utah Hockey Club, that's not going to be a possibility at all. We can see here the 2025 NHL Draft Lottery odds. The Utah Hockey Club finishing just outside the postseason. They have a 94.7% chance of landing the 14th overall pick, a 2.1 chance of getting the 15th overall pick, and then the only other spot would be the 4th overall pick, where they have a 3.2% chance of getting that. Oh, just to note, the NBA lottery is May 12th, so week after. So back-to-back weeks of fun. Thank you. My executive producer, Sammy, just gave me a note there, so really appreciate that. So yeah, this lottery, is just a warm-up. We'll say that for the NBA lottery next season. So the Utah Hockey Club, no chance of getting a pick inside the top 3. Will more than likely pick 14th, and we'll talk more about who they could snag with that selection as the draft gets closer at the end of June. And as I've said before, the end of draft, the draft at the end of June is a big date in my mind, not because of who the Utah Hockey Club will draft. I don't think that's going to be the lead story. The lead story of that draft will be what that pick will be wearing. And I think I'm not just talking fashion here. I'm not talking red carpet attire. I'm talking about the jersey. I think there's a very good chance that the draft pick there at the end of June will be wearing the Utah Mammoth jersey, and possibly that will be the unveiling event. But again, it looks more than likely like the San Jose Sharks will be have the number 1 overall pick. They have a 55% chance of picking 3rd, which to me tells me they have a 45% chance of getting a pick inside the top 2. Chicago Blackhawks are also up there, the Nashville Predators, who had a horribly disappointing season, but it looks like the San Jose Sharks are going to have a terrific chance at winning the NHL draft, the rights to pick first in the NHL draft for the 2nd consecutive year. So if you want to, here's what's interesting about this lottery, though, is that the selection, the ping pong balls that we all know and love, are going to be drawn live on television. And so everybody watching the lottery is going to see the balls bouncing around and get selected in real time, which and how that works. And I could explain to you how this is going to happen, what it's going to look like, but I found someone today who can explain it much better than I can. His name is Stanley, and he is a digital friend provided by the NHL. And he has a terrific explainer here on what the NHL Draft Lottery is going to be. So let's turn it over to our good friend, Stanley. Hey guys, let me interrupt the show really quick to remind you that I'm partnering with Payne Anthony Creative Jewelers and Jonathan's Jewelry to give you guys an incredible deal. You got to just scan that QR code, hit send on the message that comes in, and you're automatically entered into a raffle, a giveaway for a $250 gift card. We give away a different gift card, a new gift card for every single episode of the show. So we've given away like 20, maybe even 30, an uncountable number of gift cards so far to the great listeners at SLC Puck. And guess what else? You don't even need a win to be a part of this great partnership. All you got to do, roll into either one of these stores, Payne Anthony Creative Jewelers at Trolley Square or Jonathan's Jewelry in Cottonwood Heights. Just drop the name SLC Puck. They'll knock $100 off your purchase, and they've got some incredible stuff. They have like this antique like wave come in, like all this new like estate sales, like lots of terrific vintage jewelry. If I was one who was looking for a ring for a certain special somebody in my life, and I'm not, I would look for one of those rings at Payne Anthony Creative Jewelers or Jonathan's Jewelry. That's where I would go. And I would mention SLC Puck too. I would wear the hat. I would say, hey, I'm the guy. May I participate in the discount? And they would say yes, and they would give me $100 off. It's that easy. You can have that same deal. So make sure you do that. We really appreciate these guys for their great support of SLC Puck and hockey in Utah. And hey, let's get back to the show. Here's the explainer from Stanley.
For the first time ever, the 2025 NHL Draft Lottery will broadcast a live drawing of the balls. We'll be determining the order of the first 16 picks in the draft. The 16 teams that missed the Stanley Cup Playoffs are eligible, but no team can move up more than 10 spots, meaning only 11 teams have a shot at the first overall pick. The odds are based on the final regular season standings. Here's how it works. We load 14 balls numbered 1 to 14 into a lottery machine and then draw 4 of them. We use 1,004 ball combinations, which are randomly assigned to each team based on their lottery odds. The full list is available on NHL.com. Now, the fun begins. We load the 14 balls into the machine and draw for the first and second overall picks. For each draw, we pull 4 balls. As each number comes out, odds change and teams are eliminated. And as the excitement builds, we'll update home viewers on who is still in the running. Once 4 balls are drawn, we'll have our draft lottery winner. Then, we reset and repeat to determine the second pick. If a combination assigned to the first draw winner comes up again, we redraw.
Thank you, Stanley.
Hi, I'm Stanley, and I'm here.
Yeah, we heard you the first time. Thank you, Stanley. Appreciate that. Thank you for the explainer. By the way, how fun is a little digital assistant like that? It won't be long until Stanley or one of his counterparts takes over as the host of SLC Puck, and that's how the AI takeover happens, right? Not even podcasting is going to be safe from the emergence of artificial intelligence and terrific explainers like that, because Stanley could have explained the Jon Cooper situation a lot more succinctly and a lot more, in a way that's easier to understand. See, and he probably could have done that better. So that terrifies me a little bit, but thank you, Stanley, for your explainer of what we're going to see tomorrow at the NHL Draft Lottery. So we'll have eyes on that. But again, Utah has no chance of picking inside the top 3. So what's great though about this live drawing is there's not going to be a conspiracy, right? I think those of us who have been NBA fans for quite a bit have always theorized that there's conspiracies happening, right, in the NBA draft to make things happen. I'm sure that has happened a couple times, right? Patrick Ewing and the frozen envelope is probably the most famous example of that. Not going to happen in this instance with the live drawing of the balls. So I think that that's something that like the NBA should probably do. The NBA is going to take a lot of cues from the NHL in the future, which I think is pretty interesting, especially like when you consider like how good the NHL dominated the midseason conversation with 4 nations. NBA All-Star game sucked that same month, and this seems to be a really good idea as well. So interesting that the NHL is kind of innovating in the sports world in these ways. But world actually is a good segue into our last segment of the show, the IIHF World Championships starting May 9th through the 25th in Sweden and Denmark. And I believe we've got 7 Utah hockey clubbers suiting up for their respective national teams. Let's go through the list here. Clayton Keller, Logan Cooley, Michael Kesselring. They'll be donning the red, white, and blue for the United States of America. Josh Doan, Barrett Hayton. They'll be playing for Canada, rocking the maple leaf. Karel Vejmelka, Team Czechia. I thought Czech Republic, is that the same thing? I guess. I don't know. I'm not that up to date with world politics, folks. It changes so much on me. And Maximilian Suber, who I think we saw in preseason action this last year, I do remember him suiting up, especially against that Kings game. He was kind of all over the ice against the Kings in the preseason. He'll be playing for Team Germany. So some terrific representation for the Utah Hockey Club happening next week. We'll be watching the IIHF World Championships as well. But probably the headline for this, and it probably makes sense why I'm wearing this shirt right now, even though I said I'm not really that big of a fan of Marvel movies, is that our good friend Clayton Keller was named as the captain of the United States squad, which is a terrific honor. And I think that says a lot about Kels. For one, I think he's impressing the right folks, right? We talked so much this last season. One of the big themes that I talked about ad nauseum was how, he was going into that second half of the season, probably the last 2/3 of the season, actually, with a bit of a chip on his shoulder because he wasn't selected for the Four Nations face-off roster, which I think improved his play. So it's a huge compliment that the same decision makers, I believe Bill Guerin is probably the guy calling the shot for this roster. By the way, is this the updated roster? I'm just looking at this here. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, it's funny. See, everybody makes boo-boos, right? So I'm looking everything you need to know about the 2025 World Championships, and then right here it said Utah players competing at the 2024 World Championships. So that threw me off for just a second. Wanted to make sure I had the right information, but the author of that story just made a little boo-boo. But Clayton Keller is going to be the captain of that team, which to me, like he's impressing the people who doubted him. And I think that was apparent as the season rolled on, as he got the Utah Hockey Club to the precipice of the playoffs. They were a few points off, but they were in it until game 78 or so. And this for a lot of these guys, especially guys like Logan Cooley, Michael Kesselring, Keller himself, Doan, Hayton less so, I'd say, Vejmelka for sure. This is an opportunity to audition in a way for the Olympics, which will be coming up in 2026 as well in Italy. So I think that's how a lot of these guys should look at this opportunity, in particular, the guys on the American roster, Keller, maybe Cooley, perhaps not Kesselring, but we'll see the kind of jump he can take in the NHL regular season. But for Keller, this is a great chance to really show his stuff on the international stage. And I think we can expect a strong outing from him. So I'm really excited to see that again. May 9th is when the IIHF World Championships will face off in Sweden and Denmark. So excited to see that. Excited to see how our guy Captain America does at the tournament. So before we conclude the show, and maybe I should just start to play the rollout music right now, I want to give a big congrats to other folks in our hockey orbit who have done some terrific things lately. I'm talking about the fellas down in AZ. You know them, you love them. They're friends of the show. They're friends in real life. I had the chance to meet all of them in person this year, which was a great thrill. Kenny, Corey, Brad, Trent, the not the trifecta, but whatever the version of 4 is, that's the same kind of punch as trifecta. The gauntlet. I got the full gauntlet of clean hits, fellas. They surpassed 1,000 subscribers on YouTube this week. I promised on X, I said, listen, everybody, if we can get the clean hits guys to 1,000 subs this week, I'm ripping my frickin' shirt off on the show, and I'm a man of my word. So let's go! Clean hits! 1,000 subs! Woo! Way to go, fellas. Making the Grand Canyon State proud. They are true friends of the Utah Hockey Club Orbit. Crown Burger, anytime you want, fellas. On me. Way to go. Great job. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to this show, SLC Puck. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I'm on X. I'm everywhere. Merch. SLCpuck.shop. SLCpuck.com. It's all you want. It's all you need. Thank you so much, and we'll be back soon.